Hi everyone, welcome back to Across the Neurodivide. Now this is the podcast that myself and the fabulous Tigger Pritchard. How are you, Tigger?
Thank you. I am lush, thank you. And hope you are too. Well, you are, aren't you? You're always lush, which is awesome.
Well, this is the podcast that Tigger and I are doing together. Basically, myself as a neurotypical person, Tigger is a neurodiverse person or a neurodivergent person. I'm sorry, I got pulled up on this the other day. Actually, this is something that we could start with maybe. I got pulled up.
Neurodivergent, yeah, definitely.
Neurodivergent versus neurodiverse and neurodiversity, because I'm not aware of this, but it's actually something that people are actually getting quite funny about.
One of the best places to go to is there's a lovely video by Chloe on Academy, which isn't that long and explains everything in a nutshell. And you know what, says he copying out far better than I can. I am neurodivergent. Neurodiverse is like a universe aspect. Neurodivergent is me. And so I think that, and so I linked somebody into it the other week, said, have a look at this video. It's really cool. It's really awesome. And because at the moment, this terminology in the autistic world, in the neurodiverse world is changing all the time, it feels like. And it is so easy, isn't it? Because I mean it's new to me as well, yeah. And it is so easy to get caught up on stuff and to forget something, because it is growing. And I will say, look, if you want a really good comprehensive form, we can put a link in here. It is a really good little video, which I was trying to get through by myself. Yeah.
Link will be in the description. Go and check it out. So what is the difference? When I say, I've been using interchangeably, I guess, neurodiverse and neurodivergent, but there's a clear definition between them. And this caught me by surprise. And you know, from my, I always want to be sort of adapting myself so that I'm using the right terminology and not offending people. Why is there a difference, and what is the difference?
It goes back to when the phrase was first coined and so on. I simply look at neurodiverse encompassing, I don't know, like this planet, like a universe, so to speak. So neurodiverse to me looks at everybody. Neurodivergent looks at me, if that makes sense. So for me, neurodiverse includes a lot of different areas of how we describe the human brain and what labels we give and so on and so forth. But the neurodivergent bit is that terminology that says to me, I am not neurotypical. I am neurodivergent. And with my, with those extra bits of words you want to add on, I certainly embrace and adore the, I am awesomely autistic part of my neural makeup. But there's also other aspects there as well. There may be an aspect of ADHD which I'm exploring too, I must confess, because my brain will go off and other things, and so other people have mentioned that as well. But it's almost like it's the neurodivergent bit I claim as me, and the neurodiverse covers a whole other population which includes me, if that makes sense. That's how I look at it sometimes. Though it's a very simplified
It's almost like neurodiverse is the plural of neurodivergent. Yeah. No.
There are far better. There are far better individuals that explain it out there than I do, because I do get caught up as well. Because at the end of the day, I looked at this the other day, and I was chatting to a friend of mine, another awesomely autistic individual, and I said I look at myself as a young child in this autistic universe. I look at myself as just over a year and a half old, let's say. I know about who I am. I have known how I think and what I do and why I do stuff. I've known that difference for as long as I can remember, and just thought that was what people were like and what people did. But I do consider myself sometimes so young compared to other individuals, my neurokin, other members of my neurokin that I listen to, I learn from. And though I do stuff like this and all the other stuff I do, I still consider myself such a youngster, and I'm still learning and growing. And I mean, part of what we're going to look at this evening as well, and learning about my identity, which is like, I'm still working out who I am as an autistic entity, as an awesome autistic individual. I am still working out who I am. There are decades of stuff for me to get through. So I do consider myself quite a youngster.
Yeah.
And quite, 56. I'm not, but I wish I was. Yeah,
This
not a
is
year
the
and a
thing,
half,
though.
but a bit younger.
I don't know. I think this is something that definitely crosses the neurodiverse. I don't feel my age at all. I don't feel like I'm bordering 50. I still feel like a schoolboy trapped in a man's body in so many ways.
Well, I do as well.
Funny,
I think, yeah, and I think that I mean, part of the thing as I embrace more and more my awesome autistic self, I'm also trying to embrace the things that are me. And you know what? I was thinking the other day about the coffee. Why do I love coffee? And there's something at the moment that's resonating me, scaring me. I've got to be honest. Yeah. Okay. So is my love of coffee a mask? Is it part of me masking? Now, this is petrifying me, right? There's no other way of putting this, because I consider that aspect of me loving coffee as a huge part of who I am. But there's something niggling in the back of my brain, and it's this. I was lucky enough to go in Nepal in 2015. Twice I went. Actually, it transformed my life. It was one of the best things I've ever done. The country, the food, the Nepalese rum, it is incredible. The people are fantastic. But over there, I got into chia, which is their kind of herbal tea, and loved it, because their coffee is like, wow. It's even worse than instant coffee, and that's saying something for me, yeah?
In
so
Australia,
like,
Australia, there's a product called International Roast.
Right.
And it is the bottom of the rung instant coffee. It is. It's what you always get in offices and stuff, where it's just chucked in for the proletariat. It is like drinking soil.
I've got to the point now where we went somewhere a couple of months ago to see a friend of my partner's, and I went, "Can I take my own coffee?" And she looked at me, and I went, "I've got my camping mug, which I can filter it through and everything." She just went, "Yeah." So I had my own mug, my own coffee, went there, had a fantastic evening. So I was drinking, so I knew I was getting coffee that I loved. So I was like, this is a win-win. This is great. And it really helped me feel safe. But going back to the bit that's worrying me and frightening me about coffee is that when I went to Nepal for the 6 or so weeks that I was there on both occasions, I didn't drink coffee. And that's okay. That's fine. I have regular coffee shops I go to, not the mass-produced ones, I'm afraid. I'm very fussy indeed. And I went to a coffee shop in Truro. And the young man running at the time had been to Nepal himself. He was quite a world traveler. He was a really cool guy. Coffee shop was awesome. Everything was reclaimed timber. Everything had been brought out of skips. The coffee shop was incredible. Still there.
I love that feel. That kind of is something so natural about it. Yeah.
And you feel safe in that kind of environment as well, don't you? So I sat down. I went, he said the usual, and it's normally an Americano with hot oat milk on the side. Yeah. And I went, please, sat down, and I took a sip of the coffee, and I went, whoa, 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 whoa. And I took another sip, and I went, whoa. And I went up to the cafe bit. And I went, why? Hi, I said, your coffee's really off. I said, I don't know what it is. I said, you beans or something? I said, but it's so off, I can barely drink it. And he just said to me, you don't like coffee. And I went, what? He said, you don't like coffee. Your system's been without coffee for 6 weeks. So the taste of coffee, he says, has left your system. You actually don't like coffee. And I was like, what? And I just dismissed it at the time, made myself drink that coffee, and made myself drink coffees over 2 or 3 days. And then everything was fine. And then it happened again the second time I went. And I thought, well, this is what's happening, just a taste bud thing. Now, the other day I was thinking, as of exploring my brain here, is that a mask? And this is so scary, because my partner said to me, why don't you call yourself, the autistic coffee shop? Because every time you go for a coffee or you're having coffee or whatever, you are, you're talking about the awesome world of what it means to be autistic and neurodivergent and so on and so forth. And I was like, whoa. And so it's become part of me, the coffee with Tigger, the videos I used to do, the ones I do on Academy, certainly, and stuff like that. And it was like, oh. And at the moment, in a moment of contemplation, and I thought to myself, what things do I do that I think are me, that may be a mask that I've developed over the years, because I've seen other people do them, and that's maybe want to fit into that particular way of expression. Whiskey could be another one. Do you know what I mean? We spoke about whiskies.
Well, because I think I've come to the conclusion. I did a video just recently on this, on masking, because it's a big thing for me. We'll go into it in a bit, no doubt, but the whole idea that masking gets in the way of diagnosis for a lot of parents trying to get their kids diagnosed so they can support them better. Masking creates a whole lot of issues. Go check it out on my video. Link will be in the description.
It's a good video. Check it out. I obviously watched it. I always do. I share it, and it was good. I liked it.
But the thing is, I've come to the conclusion, I think everybody masks, and I think we do it at some level regardless of neurotype.
I'd go everybody masks, but there's a vast difference from with an autistic individual. Yeah, there's a vast difference.
But I kind of get a taste for it in the sense that I will do things, and I liken it to that, that party you just don't want to go to. It might be a family coming up for the family Christmas, when it's everyone together and it's like, you all kind of got to paint on the smiles. And being annoyed by the brother-in-law who doesn't have any boundaries. And, that's not a criticism of my brother-in-law, by the way. That was just a random thing. If he's watching, love you, Chris. You're a good guy. But I'm going to be in so much trouble now. It's that thing where it's, you put on a thing of, I'm just going to put on the brave face. And it can be meetings at work and stuff like that. Like back when I worked in the office, and you had those meetings which are just like, can I really face this today? But coffee helps, going back to the coffee. You grab your coffee. And
for an autistic individual, it's you observe other individuals around you. You see how people communicate. They sound and look totally and utterly alien to who you are. Yeah. But you see, they all get on, and you try Kieran Rose is the autistic advocate, has some really good stuff on masking, which I'd recommend everybody to look at. Some really good stuff, and I've learned a lot from him, and I'm still learning, and will be forever. And it's a bit about as somebody whose neurotype is completely and utterly different from the majority of individuals around me. Observe, look. And those rare moments when I was me, maybe it wasn't acknowledged, maybe it was ostracized, maybe it was laughed at. I don't know, all those different things. So me as awesomely autistic Tigger just had to disappear to a certain extent, and somebody else had to come along. And I think there's a myriad of somebody else's. I have my phone, which is I've got this set up, screen phone, all this. My phone's there, and I keep pointing to it now and again when I talk. And on there, I've got folders, and there are folders about when I now, as a 56-year-old male, am looking at not only what masks I've got, when do I start masking? And and the thing I find most awesome is, I think for some autistic individuals, we realize that so it may be as a neurotypical entity, awesome individual. And you talked about parties and office and so on, you put something on. So an element of masking is there. I put something on when I'm on my own. Yeah. That's the scary bit. So even when I'm on my own, I'm so used to not being awesomely autistic in some ways that my mask is there when I'm on my own. And this is what I'm exploring at the moment. I find that fascinating because I think to myself, what do I actually like? Do I actually like coffee? Do I actually, or is it a hyper-focused interest that I'm in and I have waves of it? Do I actually like whiskey? Or is it just whiskey and bourbon or a bit of vodka? That's about it. Do I have, is that a hyper-focused thing as well? And so coffees I've researched. I'm sure if you've seen the picture, I've got every coffee machine you can think of. So I haven't just got, I've got a Gadget espresso. I've got a French press. I've got one you put on the cooker. I've got a Hario pour over. I've got scales. I've got a Sage Pro coffee grinder. Right.
I am coming to your house for coffee.
Right? Oh, you will be. Hey, we haven't got to the whiskey and bourbon yet. I've sent you pictures of the whiskey and bourbon. Yeah, I know. But some of those bottles are older than my daughter. Some of them are 20 plus years old. Wow. They're good bottles. I don't buy run-of-the-mill stuff. But then with whiskey, I've got online. I've researched not the basic stuff, no disrespect at all, not the basic like Jack Daniels, you know, the basic. My favorite, to a certain extent, the first whiskey I ever drank was Johnny Walker Red, and I have a soft spot for that. But you know, I then realised that Johnny Walker Gold, Johnny Walker Green, one day maybe Johnny Walker Blue. Then I've researched the bourbons and the ones they get there. I've just, you know, and I think to myself, what is going on here? Do I actually like whiskey? Do I actually like coffee? Or is this part of another mask I've built up to fit in with where I want to fit in? I don't know, and I'm exploring that. I don't know.
Such an interesting concept, but I would say that if it's providing an interest and a focus and a passion, then somewhere inside you has to be that passion for the subject. So
I've just seen somebody as a coffee drinker, or I've seen somebody as a bourbon drinker in a movie or a bar or something. And I thought, hey, that person's like, that person fits in. If I have this as part of who I am, then I will fit in. And could that be what's happened?
But I think we do that. I remember my brother saying to me, this is back when, you know, I was probably late teens, early 20s. And he said to me, I'm thinking of becoming a goth. And I was like, what? But, okay, fair enough, be a goth. But why is it a conscious decision that he's making? I'm going to be... And I realised that myself, you know, the person, I'm a very individual type guy. You know, I'm just who I am. But I realised I've adopted things. You know, I started growing the beard. There's a guy called John Connolly. He's a guitarist for a band called Seven Dust. And I saw a picture and I was like, that beard looks wicked. I'm going to do that. And that's when I started growing it longer. I had a goatee for decades, but it was to, you know, the whole sort of biker goatee kind of thing. But it was because I'd seen something, I liked it. And I thought, it wasn't that I wanted to emulate something. It was more that I wanted to, I recognized something I liked in that. So I wanted to adopt it. And I think that's what we do through life, regardless of where, you know, who we are.
Yeah, humanity as a species does, yeah.
You know, the things that, but I believe there has to be a passion there. The fact that you would spend that time researching something means that it's triggering some you know, I talked to my good friend Alan Smith. He was my best man, and we talked about ADHD. He's late diagnosed ADHD. Dopamine, thank you.
That's it, right.
The dopamine gets fired. And when you get, for him, hyperfocus is, that's when the dopamine gets going, because something in him really is genuine interest, and it generates that excitement, and he wants to learn more and more and more until the dopamine is no longer firing. And that's when he moves on to the next thing, and that's the sort of hyper.
But that could be my ADHD part of my brain, you see. So those things about coffee and exploring it, and then whiskey and going into something else, I actually realise I do it in cycles. And that could be I'm really hyper-focused. I've got bored now. Let's get over that. Oh, let's get this, let's get that. And I'll get engrossed in the subject. But going back to the bit about everybody does mask, but every human being, to a certain degree, as you develop as an entity, you look at people around you, you look at what works with regards to communication, interaction, and what doesn't, and so on. And any individual takes stuff on board in order to fit in with the society around them, with their family, with their friends, and so on. The difference, I think, between a predominant neurotype, neurotypical, which phrase you prefer to use, whichever you prefer to use, and an autistic individual, is that I pay a price that you don't pay.
And that's is
the difference.
Thing. Yeah.
Now, because I'm not being me, and as I say, I'm still being open and honest here. You know, this is deep stuff, and I'm still not too sure who me is. And it's like, you know, but I pay a price when I mask, and that price really, really hurts, and really is at times very painful and very horrible and extremely debilitating. And I now have realized, as I look back over my life, I think I've been able to mask for massive periods of time, and I've had burnouts throughout my life, which look back upon, professionals would have thought as they've coincided with big things going on, like mental health issues, so on and so forth. I now look back at a lot of times I've gone through certain moments over the past 5 decades, And I realized that there when I've just imploded. And I've imploded because of everything I've been doing with regards to wearing that mask. It's something I'm trying to be more conscious about. So that's what I think the difference is. Yes, everybody masks. It's something that the human species does. Yeah. But one of the differences is I mask and suppress who I am. And by doing that, I actively go against my neurotype, I actively go against who I am as a person. And it is absolutely exhausting at times in a way that is incredibly painful. And I can't seem to stop, because if I am me, I'm not going to fit in. That's the fear, which is a really silly thing to say. Well, I was going to say asinine thing to say. It's you know, I have the right to be me, as you have the right to be you, and so on and so forth. Society is a bit more complex than that. I remember having a conversation with close ones, and I said, look, as I explore my autistic self more and more and more, and realize who I am and explore my neural identity and so on and so forth, and learn and grow, I said the only way I can say this is you're going to see a more autistic Tigger, and you're either going to like that or you're not. And I'll have to be frank and say some people are okay with it and some people are not. And that in itself is devastating. So masking for me, yeah, we all do it, but the price, really sorry, this is really difficult. The price that you pay, I think, as an autistic individual can be devastating in a way that I can't get you to understand. I can't get people close to me to understand. I think that the price we pay for masking is devastating, and yet there's so many layers. I mean, I actively create the masks, I actively form the masks, I kind of sculpture them like a work of art, but the, you know, pre-plan, pre-sort out which mask I'm going to wear at a given time and so on. But whoa, the one thing that is real with every single aspect of when I'm wearing a mask is, I don't know what you want to call it, payback time, the price you pay. But there's a boom. You know, you wear a mask, sooner or later, boom. And I know so many people that just go, you know, in burnout, don't want to talk, don't want to interact, and all the other aspects of how we then cope and for want of a better term, get our spoons back, really.
So is this sort of like a shutdown? Is that what it likens?
Oh, yeah. So I now, I mean, I've had to talk long and hard to people very close to me, and I've had to say, you know, I'm doing these things for a reason. I mean, the best example I can give is this. My partner recently moved home. So when you move home, you need as many hands as you can get. Yeah, you have in the kitchen to be done. You know what I mean? Yeah? You need as many hands as you can to get the job done. So it's difficult. You know, when you have that psychological book, and they put in these books about, you know, how the life change and how traumatic it can be and so on. Marriage, though positive, can be really difficult as well. It's a massive life change. Birthdays, Christmases, moving homes up there with, you know, your stress levels will go really high. So I anticipated that they might, or they would, but I hadn't anticipated how much. So she moved, I helped. I learned so much from this move. We both did, about how our next move is going to have to be when we move in together. I tell you, tons, right? But I've been there 2 days, and there's like chairs, things to do, lorries to empty, things to put in loft, stuff where you need 2 people, yeah? And I cannot describe the dread. So I didn't. I was like, yes, it's great. Lifting, carrying, doing stuff. But inside, I could feel myself just falling. It said every step was like in some kind of treacle, quagmire of darkness and grotesqueness. And my voice, which I'm beginning to listen to more and more, turned around to me in my head and said, for God's sake, you're going to get out of here. If you don't get out of here, you're going to be really ill. You're going to be really ill. So all my routines had gone. All my structures had gone. The house was new. The environment was new. You know, I couldn't do my routines in the morning. It was difficult just making a pot of coffee. All that kind of stuff added up. The whole place was new. The environment was new. All the change, everything, different buses, everything was a nightmare. I turned around to my partner and I said, I have to go back to where I live. I don't know when I'm coming back. If I don't go back, I said I'm in the process of shutting down, and I've got to leave it at, I can't let it do anymore. I've got to leave it at shut down. I said, but if I stay here any longer, I am really in trouble. And I will be honest here, and I hope she doesn't mind, but you could see the jaw muscle going, because 2 days in, 3-4 days moving, lots of stuff needed to be doing. Only 2 of you there. and one of them goes, bye, I'm off. Ta-da, have fun. I wasn't like that, but that's, and the jaw muscles went, and I could see how she's processing it. And it's like, in their head, it's like, you are absolutely kidding me, because I need you now more than ever here. There's so much to be done, and you're bogging off with one of your little or autistic things again. Very quickly, it was processed, it was boxed, and it was right. Okay, actually, I do need some stuff that we've stored at your place. So I'll be able to get it. I'll take it back. Just let me know when you want to come back. That was beautiful. But I know it cost a lot for her to do that as well, as an awesome neurotypical individual. But when I came here, I think I was in bed for a day and a half. I couldn't listen to stuff. I couldn't read stuff. I couldn't go on here. I couldn't do any work. I just felt so tired that even the process of thinking was extremely painful. Certainly couldn't interact with anybody. Certainly never left this environment, and just curled up and just every now and again tried to listen to a radio drama, which is one of my default mechanisms. And even that wouldn't work. And then slowly got, myself back together to be able to say, look, I'll come back. And it was like, okay, I've sorted this out. Your coffee's now in the cupboard. You can get straight to it. No problem at all. Things that she knew would make me feel better.
Awesome is that? What
I mean, I'll be honest here, and again, I've said to I'll be honest on these podcasts that we do. It's not an easy ride. There are times when, as a neurotypical, like, she cannot get it. She cannot get it because she's a neurotypical individual as opposed to me, and I at the moment sometimes can't explain things enough. But no, that was an act of awesomeness. But there are times when she doesn't get it, and you can see the look is, I don't get this at all. I love playing music. I will play the same track for maybe 4 days, then get bored, move on to something else. When I say play the same track for 4 days, I mean play the same track. So about several months ago, I was taken back to Sail Away, Sweet Sister by Queen. And while I was working, I had it on repeat. And if I was working for 6 hours, it was on repeat for 6 hours. And I'm in heaven. Now, I don't know how you feel about that, but I think after something's played once or twice, people are like, well, that's enough.
I kind of get that. I'm massive music, but I don't know about the same song on repeat. But I will listen to an album back to front when it's a new album. If it's something fresh, and I want to get you.
Oh yeah.
I will spend a week with it just on back to back.
Yeah, multiply it several thousand times, but I can understand that face, which is like, I now several months ago we were meeting. We were going for a Sunday, not in the usual place, and meeting somebody new there. So everything had changed, and we were taking the dogs for a walk. And I'm unmasking, if I can use that term, or rather, I'm trying to educate, not unmasking. I'm educating close people around me about autistic Tigger. Yeah, awesomely autistic Tigger. And I went, "Can I tell you what I have to do for Sunday afternoon?" And my partner went, "Okay." And I went, "Right, here you go. I'm asking questions about who's there, what time we're there, what we're eating. This new person, I'm saying, what are their interests? What do they do? Where do they work?" So I'm finding topics I can ask and have a conversation with. I have realized by taking notes, I have set routines of jokes. I have set routines of sentences. I have set routines of interaction. And I said, I'm planning the whole thing, which would be like a 2.5 hour gathering. I'm planning the whole thing in my brain, thinking of every eventuality, like some game of chess. That in itself means I'm exhausted before I even get there. So I'm planning this weeks before it happens.
Yeah.
Weeks before it happens, I'm planning this. And then on the day, you may execute it perfectly. But you're still, you're shattered still. You are shattered. And I think, I don't know about you, and the thing is, so many people don't get masking, and this is devastating, especially for families. I mean, there are a lot of great professionals out there. There are some that just need to learn a little bit more. And that bit about, but you looked fine, but you looked okay. Yeah, no, I did. I'm bloody brilliant at masking. Thank you. I've been doing it for 5+ decades. But you looked like you're having a great time. You were smiling. You were happy. Everything's, yeah, I know, but I wasn't. I was going through hell and agony inside.
Yeah.
And this is what people can't see. I think
that's what people don't get. I think for me, it was a revelation in understanding that people have likened it to the whole thing of the swan. It's like graceful on top and their legs are.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Good one. Yeah.
With masking, it's why it's called masking, and it is because you can see that the torture is hidden so well because the mask is so bright.
you have to appreciate the fact that I think others that masking is also for some individuals, a response to trauma, and part of a response to trauma may be fawning. So you're going around people pleasing all the time because it's one way of just people pleasing, fitting in, etc. And I think that you get this with your awesome family. It's that bit about, another family member or a professional, let's look across the whole board, will say, but we don't see that, but they were fine, but you look cool, but you looked all right. And one of the hardest things, again, to do as you open up as an autistic individual, I think, to those around you, because hey, rejection is there anytime. I am petrified that people close to me, the more I discover about myself, will go, actually, I said we could, we can't, bye. Because, I am autistic. My brain is different. And, there are similarities with other, awesomely autistic individuals out there. But it's that bit about, and it's not that I'm lying. It's been crafted for so long as that defense mechanism, as a trauma response, whatever. We had an evening once where the evening had gone great, family members were there and so on. My partner went, wow, that was a really good evening. Are you okay? And I went, can I tell you the truth? And she went, fine. And I went, I've hated every second of it. And her first response was, but you looked so happy, but you engaged, but you talked, but you discussed the movie. I said, but I didn't want to be here. I hated it. That is, I said, masking for me at this moment in time. And then I said, we'll go into it again at some point, but I can't go into it now. Is that all right? Because I could see the shocked look on her face this was a while ago. And it was like, but you looked fine. But he, she, they look fine in school. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
It's that scenario which is devastating. I mean, if I may, and I always counteract the two. There are some professionals out there that are gorgeous, that put their hands up and go, look, I want to learn more. Let's go to the community of awesome autistic individuals, ADHD is so on, and learn. And there's some professionals that go, well, I'm sorry, we don't see this at school. Yeah. And the attitude that goes with that, we don't see this at school. Yeah, I'm sorry, but do you know what I mean? Yeah. And that is extremely painful and devastating for so many, autistic individuals and their gorgeous families.
I think this is the side that doesn't get. So when I've looked at masking, I always get it because I'm a parent, and so I'm a parent of an autistic human being, and so my perspective has always been the difficulty it is, because if they're masking at school and then it's all built up and it all comes out at home, so you're dealing with more extreme behaviours as a parent and all that kind of stuff. But I think when you peel away all of that, what you're really sharpening that focus on is the torment that you feel and the human impact on the person who's masking. And it's like that idea that, you look like you're having such a good time. Well, yeah, I look like it, but actually I was in agony the whole time. It really strikes me that's the human side that we often miss. And, I don't know a teacher who isn't interested in helping their kids. They're not, largely, every teacher I know are really giving and wanting to support the kids that they've got in their class and understand and help them. And masking is one of those things that I think if more people understood it from that perspective, there'd be that desire to keep an eye open for it, because nobody wants to see a fellow human, somebody who's in our care, go through that kind of torment.
From a professional viewpoint, I meet a lot of professionals that literally say to me, but I had training on autism awareness a month ago. Yep. And I have to very carefully put in place something that says, yeah, but regardless of where you get the training from, it's horrendously out of date and medical model based, and it never even mentioned stimming nor masking. Yeah. And so I meet so many well-meaning, awesome, gorgeous professionals that honestly stand there and go, but we've just had training. And it was from an accredited source. It's from our county. It's from, whoever. And it's, we just had it. And I come along and be very careful and kind of say, well, actually, yeah, some aspects of it was cool, but some aspects of it wasn't. I meet so many individuals, so many professionals that don't get training about stimming, that don't get training about masking, and that's why you get still. I mean, there were in a county in Great Britain, a a lead professional said to a parent that I was working with, said to them, there's no way. They were talking about this person's child, and they said, no, there's no way your child can be autistic and a PDA, yeah? Because as an autistic individual, they mask. PDAs do not mask. PDA girls do not mask. And that was what this, sorry, I'm so sorry. Right, your face was a picture there, mate. So this was a lead professional for accounting. The parent came back to me and I said, just send them this link to Google because you'll get 4 pages from the PDA Society, from Steph's 2 girls, from Harry, from
Sally
Julia, Daunt, Sally, loads of them with articles about PDA girls and masking. And that was a lead professional. And this is where it's going wrong with masking and lots of other information, is the quality of training out there hasn't caught up yet with reality. And I meet some professionals that actually think they've done the best. And yet they stand there and it's like, well, we don't see this at school. And, that Coke bottle effect, as the analogy goes, we don't see this at school. Don't know what you're seeing at home, but we don't see it at school. And then the ramifications that go along with that are devastating for the family concerned. And again, it's also that, it's like I said to the people close to me, done X, Y, and Z, so on. I'm sitting, I'm talking, I'm laughing, I am giggling, I'm having a great time. There's a voice in my head screaming, not the actual words that are in my head, get the hell out of here because you can't take much more of this. And it is screaming in my brain. And yet while I'm doing that, I'm smiling, I'm laughing, I'm giggling, I'm in conversation. My brain is screaming at me, for God's sake, get out, 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 get out. And then the next day I'm in bed at 2:00 in the afternoon because I am shattered and exhausted. And I had a lovely party the other weekend and I loved it and it was awesome. It was gorgeous. I still paid a price for that because I was having to have a particular mask on there. But there are times when, people see one thing, and for so many individuals out there, schools, colleges, workplaces, etc., you see one thing and you never have an inkling of what's going on inside. And I just wish more people could understand that.
That's just such an insight. This is why I value this kind of conversation, because there's so much to learn. And it's constant. You're always going to be learning this stuff. As a neurotypical person, getting that glimpse into the reality of what you're experiencing as a neurodivergent person, it's so valuable to me because it gives me that, for me, it's all about that insight into what my daughter goes through.
Yeah, awesome that she is.
Yeah, she's amazing. And it's been, I see it, funnily enough, that she's on a medication now, and not for autism or anything like that, and I wouldn't ever want to medicate that. It's just purely on the anxiety, to help her reduce the anxiety so that she's not acting out. But she started to get in touch with her emotions as a result of it. So where these emotions have been repressed and bottled and then exploded all the time, she's now able to she's getting in touch with them. And it's interesting because she's sort of immature in her emotional regulation because she's never had to deal with it before. Because it's always just been that Coke bottle effect, and it's just repress until it explodes, boom. And now that anxiety is being helped, and it's really interesting seeing how she's becoming more connected to her emotions in that way. And it seems to be helping her to drop the mask in some ways. And it's interesting because my daughter's not somebody who you traditionally accuse of. That makes sense. She will mask for brief periods, but she can't sustain it. And so in school, she'll mask. When she gets a new teacher, we go through this quick. If there's ever a new teacher, or she gets a shift in her tutor or whatever it is like that, we go through a couple of weeks, and it's all, well, I can almost time it. I'm going to get that message from this guy. I think we've cracked it. She seems to be so much more content. And I said, yeah, give it a and now you hear the scream in the background, and it's it really is like that. It's like, this is masking because she can't sustain it, and she can't, and it's a blessing in many ways because it meant that schools see her behaviours and her challenges and are able to reflect that. You know, it still took 8 years to get a diagnosis, but, you know, but it's interesting that because she seems to be so much more in touch with her emotional side now, the mask isn't as present. If we go out, it goes on, and I see it. If we go out, if we go to a park or a soft play, it's, you know, off to play, and you can see it in place. And we often get our challenging behaviours on the way home because she's been masking. It's really interesting seeing her not need to use it in the same way. In the home, at least, the mask is coming away quite rapidly. It's a beautiful thing to see in some ways, but it also makes you realise
when I work, listen with so many awesome families that I have done, and looking at me too, I often say to individuals, okay, somebody comes home, school, college, work, wherever, and they have a chance. They're in an environment where they feel safe, and therefore they are more likely to become who they are. And that actually, to me, though it's very difficult, especially if somebody's, you know, pent up with stress and trauma from the day, and then all that form has to come out, but they're also in a way saying, I'm safe here. Now that is beautiful. I mean, of course, what they go through, what we go through, is difficult and complex, and other people don't like to see. I mean, I'm like, my partner says, I just really don't like looking at you and seeing you when you are under that amount of stress and trauma. It's, you know, as someone who cares, it's a really, as you know, as an awesome parent, it's a really difficult thing to go through. We don't see any person that's close to us go through pain and agony. But also, one of the biggest things I think that somebody around an autistic individual can do when they become more themselves, when various masks are dropped and so on, is to respect that and to let it happen, but also to develop that trust, that safety, that security. To me, you know, when I tentatively do things that I call autistic Tigger around those people that are incredibly close to me, A, I'm kind of testing them out. I have to be honest with you, I think I am as well. But B, I'm also going, hey, I feel so safe, I'm going to do this. That's a compliment.
Yeah.
In my world, that's me saying, I feel so safe because of the respect you give me for who I am, you know, the environment you've built as a family and so on. I feel so safe here, I'm going to do this. But that shows you how unsafe people feel in other environments. And that just bites as well, doesn't it? How unsafe people feel in the other environments, especially these environments of overload, school, workplaces, and so on, that we go into. But I love that message of, you know, I feel so safe with you. Yeah. You're going to see this, and I know that you won't. You know, you'll be there for me no matter what I do. You're there for me, and that, I think, is just beautiful. It's just lush.
It is, because it's the understanding of unconditional love.
Yeah.
That no matter what, that can't be broken. You know, and I see my daughter processing and understanding that now, and it's an amazing thing. Thanks so much, man. I've got so much out of this. We'd love to hear your feedback. If you've got any comments, your experiences, please do pop them in the comments, and please do ask us any questions. We did get some questions through from the last episode. We haven't addressed them in this one because we wanted to sort of talk about this, but we will be we'll be addressing them in the very near future. So please do chuck it in the comments and let us know. Tigger, always an absolute pleasure talking to you, my man.
Andrew, look, I've got to say, as I might say it last time, I apologize if I did, but when you have a person who is not your neurotype, want to listen, want to learn, want to stand up, want to advocate, that's what the planet is all about. That's what the planet should be about. That's what we're working towards. And, you know, as an autistic individual who you know, sits on my neurokin and explores stuff there and so on and so forth, I'm still not going to progress as, you know, the understanding, the inclusion, the acceptance, etc., isn't going to happen unless we all work towards that. And so the insight you bring as a father, you know, the advocacy you do, that's so important as well. And it's that makes a difference. As working together is what makes a difference. And I get a lot from this as well. I do find it difficult, I must confess, but you really are good at this bit, and I like it a lot. So as you said, yeah, send in questions and we will address them. Thoughts and questions, definitely.
We will. And even if, part of what we're talking about here is this sort of bridging the neurodivide, across the neurodivide. And it's something that, we understand there's a lot of hurt that a lot of autistic people and neurodivergent people feel. We want to hear about that too. And we want to talk about it, because how can we heal from these things unless we address it? And, I'll hold my hand up as a neurotypical and say, I've stuffed up in this and I haven't, neurodiverse or neurodivergent, it's those kind of things. Learning those little things can make such a difference. So please do reach out to us. Please do hit like, hit subscribe, ring the bell so new episodes coming up. And we will see you guys again on the next episode. See you later.
Thank you all so much. Stay safe. Bye.